Another day, another roof. Here we are today with our guest, Mike Campbell. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us today at Protect Preserve Roofing Podcast. And Mike, I want you to share with us your experience. We're going to talk a little bit about all the things that you know, how you got into the industry. But anyway, first, Mike, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed, for having me on the podcast. Before we start, I got to give a shout out to Mid-Atlantic Roofing Supply. I got to give a shout out to my boss, Roman, Chris Deitz, Mark, Catalina, Victoria, Stephanie. I mean, we have such a great team over there at Mid-Atlantic. And, whenever I had asked about doing this podcast, they immediately you got to do it. And I didn't think it was going to be like that. Having worked at other distributors, I was just happy that they let me do it. So shout out to you guys. And anyways, you had said...
But I'm sorry for interrupting you, I need to piggyback in what you just said. And I want to express also my gratitude to the team over there, because every time I come in, they really treat you with respect. I mean, the team is outside with the stuff. It's like, man, it feels like it's a McDonald's, because I go inside and order something. When I get to my truck, the guy's already there. So thank you. And I want to also give a shout out to Mid-Atlantic. So anyway, Mike.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad that you said that, because honestly, I mean, it makes my job a lot easier, right? I'm in front of the customers every day. I talk to the customers every day, and I'm constantly out there selling. But having a really solid team behind me that takes care of the customers like I want them to, or like I sell, it's very rewarding knowing that, whenever you get a customer that says something like that. And I hear it pretty often, and that's surprising for me, just because I've been in distribution for 3 years and only been at Mid-Atlantic for, I guess, going on 7 months now. And to hear stuff like that often, it means what I'm selling is good quality. So as far as service is concerned. It feels great to hear that.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you started in the roofing, and tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start at the beginning. I mean, I grew up in Jacksonville. Then I ended up moving over to Pensacola. I met my wife over there in high school, and then I ended up getting a scholarship and going down and playing football at UCF right here in Orlando. So, I spent, 4 years in Orlando, and then my wife got into Stetson Law School, and we moved down there for about 3 years, and then moved back here to Orlando. And when I first moved back to, I'll go back to when I first started in the industry. As soon as I got done playing college ball, I had got out in the real world, and I got a big boy job, and it was a recruiting job. And am I able to say that? I can probably say the name of where I worked, right? I mean,
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So it was Skybridge Resources, and it was a small, tiny little recruiting firm, but it was a really cool introduction into the workforce, because everyone that I worked with was about my age. And so it was a really good introduction. But I guess the problem that I had was I was sitting in a cubicle all the time. And I was just on the phone constantly, because as a recruiter, you're calling people about jobs. You're trying to recruit people to go here or go there. And anyways, it just, I just wanted to get back outside. I'm like, I can't sit in this office from day to day. I mean, I had went from, being out on a football field every day in the sun, sweating, working hard, to now it's like I sit at my computer at 9 a.m. and then I don't get up until noon. And then you go to lunch, you come back, you sit back down, and then all of a sudden the day's gone and the sun's starting to set. And you're like, I didn't even get any sunlight today. So anyway, I decided I got to get outside. I got to find something to do. And at the time, I think I was still a year away from becoming an outside account manager for Skybridge. And so I started looking at jobs, and I found one that said outside sales rep, and it said at least 2 years of sales experience is preferred but not needed. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go check this thing out. So I ended up...
From the office to the roof.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know nothing about roofing. I mean, I had seen it was a roofing contractor that was hiring for it. And I'm like, I didn't have any sales experience at the time, but I thought, maybe I can convince them to hire me, even though I don't have the 2 years recommended experience. So I ended up going out there, wore a full suit. And by the way, I gotta be honest, like when you're interviewing with a roofing contractor, this is, a collared shirt and some jeans is really all you need. But I came in there with a full suit on, and they offered me the job on the spot. I mean, within probably a 15-minute conversation, which, knowing now at 32 years old, that's a red flag, by the way. Like, that's a red flag.
But here's the thing, man. I mean, you seem to be a really convincing guy. So you already proved to them that you're a good salesperson. Well, you don't have experience, but you got what it takes.
Well, so that's what I was trying to persuade myself into. Like, they just really believe in me, man. Like, that's why they're giving me the job. But no, I think really it was just they were hiring everyone they possibly can to get more sales, and they'll take a shot on somebody. And come to find out, the way that I got trained in this thing, they would bring you in, you'd sit in a conference room, and they would train you about insurance processes, and it was mainly all insurance processes. And then they start going, probably spend an hour on materials and what roofing really is. Then they hand you the keys to a truck, and they say, this would be on Monday. This is when I would start. They hand you the keys by the end of the day, and they say, go out there and sign 5 contracts this week or you're done. You're gone. And I was like, well, how do I, where do I go? What do I do? So I was just driving to neighborhoods looking for damage. And I had, I'd find a place and I'd just pull up, start walking, start door knocking. And so I ended up going out there and signing, I want to say it was 4 contracts my first week. And by Friday, I'm sitting there, I was working till like 8 o'clock at night. The sun was already down. I'm still beating down doors at 8 o'clock at night. Like, if somebody knocks on my door at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to be pretty upset about that. But anyways, I had gotten the 4 contracts. I came back at the end of the week, and they were like, surprise, you're good. And I'm like, wait, I'm not getting fired? And they're like, no, honestly, we say that, and we just want to see if you can sign just one. And so I ended up holding the record for a while. I was the first recruit to come in there and sign 4 contracts in the first week. Not every week was like that, but sometimes the quota was actually 7, is what they assigned to us later on down the road. Like, once you kind of worked out of that interim phase, about a month or 2 in, they started assigning you 7 contracts a week. I only hit that a couple of times. It wasn't that easy, but typically if you signed more than 2 or 3 contracts, they kept you on.
Let me ask you this. How long ago was that?
This was 2017. So I had gotten into it right after Hurricane Irma had come through Lakeland. And I want to say I was late to the game on it, because a lot of people had already been out there. Like, you guys, contractors will know, and homeowners will actually know too. If a hailstorm comes through your neighborhood, the very next day, I mean, the sun's coming up, your door is being knocked on. So you want to talk about how quickly contractors will get out there to remedy the damage. It goes pretty fast. Contracts are signed. So, you're coming through picked over business. And so the fact that I was able to sign contracts through picked over business, like, that was pretty good. But again, I wish I would have been there in the beginning. It would have been a lot easier.
In the beginning, you never thought about, wait a minute, something's off here. I mean, I got half a day, so to speak, training. They tell you, go out there and knock doors. I mean, I know you got to provide to your family. You got to do what you need to do. But at what moment in this process, how long it took you to kind of feel something's off here?
I mean, I stayed there for 9 months. It probably took me 8 months to figure that out. I mean, you got to understand, I don't know, when I got done playing ball, I guess I was like 22, so I might have been 23 at the time. And there's a lot of money in roofing. I mean, there really is. So, when you're making that kind of money at that age, you don't really look into things. You just say, I'm signing contracts, I'm making money, and you just kind of turn a blind eye to some of that stuff. But, to your point, like, about I guess when I realized like some of the things we were doing were kind of sketchy, it was probably at 8 months. I mean, I started realizing like the insurance work, we weren't handing out estimates. That was weird to me because I would go in to sign a contract with a homeowner and they'd have a stack of estimates sitting on the table. And I'm not here to give you an estimate. I don't even know how to give you an estimate. And I know nothing about the materials. So how am I beating these 10 quotes that they have sitting on the desk? So that's kind of when I was like, something's not adding up here.
Well, and that, Mike, is one of the reasons that, especially like for myself, I got like 20 plus years in the property restoration business. And when I migrated to roofing, as an addition, so to speak, to what I was doing, and I left the other company that I was in, I knew roofing was challenging, and property restoration too had bad people in it. But when it came to roofing, I was like, oh my God, I mean, this is something that, I mean, the roofing industry is a very, very delicate industry, not to say something else. I mean, I put it this way, the roofing industry has made headlines one too many times, and unfortunately not for good reasons. And one of the things that we know, it's the roofing industry also was a big contributor to what happened in Florida. The roofing contractors knocking doors, and to the most part, to a certain degree, scamming homeowners, scamming insurance companies, and all that stuff. And also, I mean, we could say that you also part of the victim, so to speak, because you out there, you want an opportunity, you're working hard, but you don't know the basics about roofing. So, but you are convincing. You're a nice looking guy, and you're out there working hard. People's like, hey man, I like Mike. Mike seems to be a really convincing guy. So let's go for it.
I would say that there was definitely a lot of scam things going on out there in the market. Now, as far as what I was doing, I was signing what was called assignment of benefits. And that was where you'd sign a contract with the homeowner, and they're basically releasing the claim to the contractor to handle. So when the check would be released, it would have the contractor's name on it, and they'd have to be endorsed or whatever, and then the contractor would cash that check, which that's not like a scam thing. I mean, if they're replacing your roof, they're replacing your roof. And so the scam things that happen, which I'll be honest with you, what I was doing was helping homeowners through insurance claims. That wasn't at the time what caused all these big, insurance disputes. And like, I will say the company that I work for wasn't doing as much as what I saw out there. So, I would go, like, take this for example. I'm not going to name names. I can't do that. But I would go into a homeowner, and they would tell me, yeah, I had this other roofer come by, and, he gave me an estimate, but he said that he was turning this over to the insurance company. The insurance is going to pay for it. And I took a look at the estimate because, again, I had never done an estimate before. So I was just kind of looking at it to see what was going on with it. And I knew enough, like they trained you enough that when you get up on the roof, you got to take pictures of what's already there, the damage. They got to take pictures of how many vents they have, the hips, different pipe jacks, all those kind of things. Because whenever you come back to redo that roof, it's remove and replace. The insurance company's not going to pay for anything that's not already out there. So anyways, I was taking a look at this quote, and a typical roof at the time, I want to say it was like $12,000 for a typical roof. Anywhere from, it depends on the size of the house, obviously, but I look at this quote, and this thing was $50,000. And I was like, I'm telling, but wait till you hear about it. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, why would it be $50,000? So I started looking at the itemized list on it. They had skylights on there. They had interior damages like drywall and ceiling fans and all these things that they put on there. Now, granted, I'm sitting at the homeowner's table and I'm looking around. There's no damage inside the house. Like, the shingles came off, but the underlayment stayed. So the water had not actually gone through the underlayment. There was no interior damage. But what these contractors were doing was signing in assignment of benefits, basically taking control of the claim for the homeowner. Then they would go to the insurance company and submit this incredible quote for fixing it, trying to get approved on that kind of quote. And none of it was true. Like if you were inside the house, if they sent an adjuster out, which they kind of count on that insurance companies don't have that many adjusters to go into a storm-ridden state and just get to work. So adjusters wouldn't get to places for months at a time. And so when they would come back, they'd be like, there's nothing wrong on the inside, and they deny the claim. But there's a lot of insurance companies that were just going ahead and approving them, and work wasn't being done. So let's say they replaced the roof for 10, 12 grand. There's an extra 38 grand sitting on the table. I mean, 40 grand right there in profit. It's just, there was very, very sketchy things going on. And so that's, when I looked at that, I'm like, well, what I'm doing isn't that bad. I'm helping facilitate the homeowner's claim. But still, I was a part of it when that stuff was going on.
So basically, there were worse companies than what you were doing. It's like, oh my God, I mean, I thought...
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. When I was looking at it, I'm like you say, like, when did you realize that something was a little bit off? Like, I didn't realize it for a while because I was seeing some of the things that the other guys were doing, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Something's not right with that.
Well, I just want to emphasize another thing. Not every company that's knocking on door, they are crooks. Will you take the chance? I just want to leave that question out there, right? And with that being said, there are legit guys, good guys, they're out there canvassing, knocking doors, trying to educate. But honestly, knowing now how things are, and if I'm not knowledgeable enough in roofing and to know how to do my due diligence, I would not entertain somebody knocking on my door to sell my roof. And it's really unfortunate because of a few people, so to speak, it completely damaged the entire industry. There's a bad stigma in roofing because of that. This is one of the reasons, right? The other thing too is, if you let somebody on your roof and you hear banging on your roof, and if you're not out there looking, well, chances are, and this is another thing too, a lot of people will fabricate damages. I will make a video how on the roof, how bad folks out there are creating hail damage using a pinball hammer, using a coin, using a screwdriver, using a golf ball in a sock and hitting the roof. I mean, but here's a catch. That can be differentiated. That can be found for a good trained adjuster or a good contractor can go on the roof and can determine if that was created or not. So if you are that guy doing that, be careful. Your time is coming and you might be, caught. And as there are many cases that's happening. So, and
let me just add in on that too. I mean, that I understand, like, obviously during that time there was a lot of scammers going around out there, but there has been a lot of changes as far as insurance goes. There's all kind of lobbyists that changed a lot of the insurance aspects. So a lot of that stuff has been eradicated for sure. But to your point, I don't know any contractors, obviously, that do something like that. But they're out there. I mean, there's scammers everywhere in every single industry. So I'm sure that there are people out there creating damage and trying their best to continue doing the stuff that they were doing back in 2017. But I think it's a lot less common now.
Yeah. Well, Florida did a great job, so to speak, to control all of that and weeded out a lot of bad contractors. But let's be fair. In every industry, there's good people, there's bad people. It seems that there are good lawyers, bad lawyers, good public adjusters, bad public adjusters, good contractors, bad contractors. It's a matter of you, homeowner, getting educated, taking your time. Do not give up to emotion and just signing in a contract because a nice guy coming knocking the door. I'm picking on Mike a little bit here, but Mike, when we're talking a little bit about it, and even when you left the industry and you felt really bad, was with the homeowners calling, right? So tell a little bit how was, even after you're gone, again, now you're receiving all these phone calls, because not only companies were charging like $40,000-$50,000 for a roof that should cost like $14,000-$15,000. Now, what happened next?
Well, again, anybody can look me up and they can look and see where I used to work at. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation for me to kind of, I just know that I had gotten a call at some point and the homeowner was like, listen, my claim is still open. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't work there anymore, but I'll help you out. I mean, I'm not going to just leave somebody out to dry. So I'm like, I don't work there anymore, but I'll give them a call, find out, what I can do to help out with this situation. But the claim was still open. The insurance company had paid out on the roof, but then the contractor would come back after they've installed the roof. And I forget how they did it, but somehow they would submit like a supplement and say, the price is increased on materials, which is correct. Like, there's times where a claim will be approved and or the claim is open and doesn't get approved, but the roofer sends in that estimate. They approve it based on that estimate, but during a hurricane state where the materials start running dry, it becomes an issue where it's supply and demand issue. So if the supply is going down because everyone's buying it up, and the demand continues to stay the same because there's still so much damage out there, the price of the materials is going to go up. They got guys in the warehouse that have to work overtime. Like, there's a lot of things that go into the price of materials going up. So by the time they install that roof, the price has actually changed. But they can't, it's not like they can buy the materials at the day that they quoted it and have them sitting on the roof for 4 months waiting on an insurance company to approve it. So they would submit these supplements and come back and ask for more money. Like what I said with the, the rate increases and crews asking for more money, and that kind of stuff does happen. But some of the supplements that I was hearing about was way more than what needs to be adjusted for supply and demand or rate increases or something like that. I just was thinking, I'm like, that's a lot of money to come back and try to supplement. So again, when you talk about like a roofer coming in up front and offering a quote for $50,000 for a $14,000 roof, well, on the back end, they can get it too. If they don't get it up front, they could try to supplement it. Now, again, I don't know if that's the case anymore. They probably have changed that as far as supplementals go, but that would be a question for an actual roofer.
Yeah.
That's roofing right now.
Well, I mean, things are different. AOB, it's known in Florida. So many other things. By law changed, and it all had to be adjusted. As an approved vendor for several insurance companies, we see how different things are in a sense, and for the homeowner, especially when it comes to roofing and many other things as well, as a preferred vendor, when there is a damage, a legitimate damage, we go inspect, we document, we create the entire with the eyes of a contractor, what takes to repair the damages. We submit to the insurance company. They are the ones who has obviously access to the policy, the coverage and whatnot, and if there is, if the damage are within the policy, if it's covered or not. But as an approved vendor, and again, every industry there's good and bad people, and I see for most of the time insurance companies do a great job in making the homeowners whole. Some of them, the homeowners need to request like a second opinion.
Yeah.
As far as like, well, you know what, let me give another adjuster here, or they don't like and say, look, it's beyond my control. So you talk to your adjuster and figure out what's going on. I mean, that's probably some language in your policy or something. I'm not legally competent to help you there.
Yeah.
But anyway, things change a lot.
Let me ask you this: how do you get approved as a roofer, as an approved vendor for an insurance company as a roofer?
Well, if I tell you, I gotta kill you. No, well,
I'm just asking. I mean, well, because and also you got to think about it from a homeowner's perspective. If they calling the insurance company that has been, insuring their home, they're putting trust in that insurance company to insure their home.
True.
So a lot of homeowners will ask the insurance company, is there, somebody that I can call? Is there somebody you recommend? Being on a list like that, because insurance companies are going to be very careful on who they're going to recommend and who they're going to want to do business with. It's a list that I would think would be really hard to get on.
Yes, you're right. In our case, I come from a 20 plus years in the property restoration, so I have earned a lot of trust within the industry. And with that transitioning, so to speak, when I left the company, I was part owner and started the roofing company, I leveraged to this day all those relationships. So the integrity, know me personally, what we do, what we promise, we deliver. And to us, is our integrity needs to be proven every day, one roof at a time. I mean, sometimes it seems unfair, but let's say, hey, if a mistake is made, you can lose that insurance company in a heartbeat, right? Just because of what you said.
Move, right?
Yeah. There are a lot of companies trying to get in the vendor list, things like that. So the only way for that to happen is if a guy who's doing it every day makes a mistake, or it's something's happening, it's off. I mean, dude, it's just heartbeat, you're out. And for that reason, it gives the homeowner this protection, so to speak, because again, the insurance company makes sure that all your licenses are up to date. You got everything that, certifications, licenses, like warranties and things like that, and they will hold that contract. They'll hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah.
So that gives the homeowner, that freedom of mind. So of mind. Now the challenge becomes after a storm. Will every insurance company have enough help, right? And that's when, and some of them, they say like, well, find your own contract. And that is a perfect moment when the homeowner falls prey to companies coming from all over the place. Now, there's another thing too, and I'm going to expose that now, is some roofing companies, they may look legit and local, but there's something called a set. Okay, in the industry. What is a set? What is a roofing set? Well, if a storm comes to Florida now, if I'm not mistaken, now is collaborating with all the states. And I believe a little more than 3 years ago, Florida did not used to have this reciprocity license. Now it's more fluid. So an example, a storm happens in Florida. Contractors from all over the place comes to Florida, right? And if they don't have a license, well, that's pretty simple. They just find a small roofer somewhere. They say, hey, we're going to partner up. Next day, they embody that roofer. And now that guy that's doing, a few roofs a month, now is doing hundreds a month, because these big companies, they come in with a lot of people knocking on doors, flying drones, things like that, within the name of that local company. And what happens is that when all passes and all gone, well, that company, it's gone with the money. That little guy who's technically is a local guy, now is left with the whole. Take care of those warranties. No, exactly, and that's what happens. When it's all gone, now all the claims and things. So that's a lot. There's a lot. So there's a lot of burden for you, the homeowner, in the process of choosing a roofing contractor. I mean, take the time. Do not get desperate or emotional. On the spot. Think about it. Go through, interview a little guy, some guys, and don't be afraid of asking questions. I mean, and one thing too, using your experience, Mike, and ask the guy, how long are you in this industry? Not to pick on the salesperson, because hey, every day you're learning. I learn every day. Roofing, it's something that we learn every day.
We just talked about that last week.
Every time I go to Mid-Atlantic, I learn something. Oh,
every time I leave the house, I learn something new. I mean, I get calls all day long, and it's a never-ending process of learning, and you're never going to learn enough. But having been in it for 3 years, I am very, very new to this game. I mean, if you really think about it, I have a coworker that's been in this for 20 years. I mean, I know people that have been in there for 40 years, more than I've even been alive.
Wow.
And they still tell me the same thing. I learned something new. Maybe it's not every day, but it's, every week they learn something. So
from roofing sales to
fleet maintenance.
All right. So how was that transition?
It was fantastic. Fleet maintenance is something that it's an industry that not a lot of people think about. Like, I don't think I ever thought about fleet maintenance whatsoever until I got into the industry. And that's just because I had left that company I was working for, selling roofs. And, I had a buddy that was working in fleet maintenance, and, he called me up and we got to talking, and he's like, man, you're selling door to door. Like, if you can sell door to door, then selling business to business is going to be a cakewalk for you. And it really was. I mean, I think that was my first legit outside sales job, was selling fleet maintenance. But it's funny because I feel like since 2017, I remember being there on the day of install. I would always be there on the day that we would deliver materials and work on a roof. And these big trucks would come through, and they would be parking on the driveway and delivering materials. And these are huge semi trucks. And I think at the time, I had no idea what it takes to move that kind of material. And these big semi trucks, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with them. You have oil leaks. They're very, very heavy machinery, and they'll break driveways. They're massive. It's not an easy thing to do, move this kind of material. And so having gone, being there and watching those trucks put those shingles up on the roof, and then going into fleet maintenance after that, I spent about 3 years doing that. And it was on-site fleet maintenance. So our trucks would go out, and they would do oil changes, or what they call preventative maintenance on trucks. They would do them at night and, after hours, so the trucks could stay operating. And how that translates now to distribution is that I rely on those trucks every day. My customers rely on those trucks every day. If you don't even take care of your truck properly, then that thing breaks down on the way to the job, and they ripped off the entire roof, and they don't have a dry-in to put back on there, and the rain's coming. You're going to lose that customer as a distributor. So you rely on these things, man. And so, it's spent about 3 years doing that before I got into distribution.
And then before you've been to Mid-Atlantic, have you ever been to another distributor?
Yeah, so funny you ask. I've spent time with 3 separate distributors now. I spent about a year with Beacon, or QXO now, and I spent about a year and a half. I think it was a year and a half with ABC Supply. And those are the 2 big dogs when it comes to distribution. I mean, you also have SRS. They're all kind of competing for the top spot. ABC is by far the largest. And then, now I'm at Mid-Atlantic, where that was a definite learning curve for me coming on. I went from having every material possible. I went from having more trucks to get those materials out, to now having a very small operation. And the other thing too is, there's a lot more customer service when the operation is smaller. So if I could say anything, if there's any contractors listening, you're definitely going to get better customer service through Mid-Atlantic than you would one of the big dogs. And that's just a volume thing. I mean, I want to say the last distributor I was at had 24 trucks. And a lot of people look at it as a really good thing. And it is, because you can move a lot more material. But when you have a lot more material going out, there's a lot more things that can go wrong. And we would, we're still actively trying to grow. So we will be adding trucks. But again, where our foundation is solid and we're taking pride in the distribution of materials. And I think a lot of the guys that, a lot of the distributors that have been doing this for a very long time skip a lot of those little details. And it does mean something to the contractor.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned about, like companies and corporations and whatnot. And that's another thing that I'm finding in roofing. To me, I don't really agree. And I want to talk about that is from the shingle manufacturers to the suppliers, right? And everybody wants to cater to the big companies, but there is a need for a small trust contractors, the guys that starting their own business, they're legit and they want an opportunity and they're not really taken care of. So I believe there's a niche there, Mike. And now with that, also is a shout out to the manufacturers, because the system is somewhat rigged. And the reason I'm going to say that is because, for instance, if you're the homeowner, right? There's one thing that when you set up with a contractor and they talk about warranties and this and that. Well, let's create a situation here. Let's take the best shingle installer in America, the best crew, the best guys, and let's suppose those guys are going to set up their own company. They will not be on the list of any shingle manufacturer, period. You know why?
By the list, what do you mean by the list?
Great question. Well, I mean, there's like
I just know homeowners probably aren't going to know.
Platinum this, certified here, certified there, this and that, because they want you to either represent their own brand, meaning you only can sell this or push their main product, or you already have to be selling 3, 4, 5 roofs per week. So, wait a minute. It's not a matter of you being qualified or not. Let's say Mike is a great installer, has pride on his work, he's got his crew, it's a small company, can do one job a week, couple of jobs a week or whatnot. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, when you're doing like 4 or 5, give us a call and we're gonna let you you use our warranty. To me, I don't agree with that, but again, it's just the way the system is right now. Another thing too is the warranty thing. I'm exposing a lot, making Mike uncomfortable.
I'm good. You're saying it. I'm just listening right now. I don't.
Well, and again, this is on me. This is my take today, right? And again, this is what I'm learning within the industry. Let's say recently, Mike, I went to China. Okay. And why did it go to China? Because I wanted to understand about this material thing. So, and by far, I got a great deal as far as service, pricing, everything from you guys. But still, I'm curious. I'm a curious guy. So I said, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me go to China and check something up. I tell you, like, we can buy material from China and say, and has that stigma, right? Well, it's a Chinese, material, whatever. Well, when was the last time you bought something and you look at the where it was made? It's not from China, right? Or India or some other country. So when you go to China and you know that you can have the same product delivered here for 4 times cheaper or at sometimes half of the price, that makes you wonder what's going on.
Well, one thing I'll add to that, though, too, because we talked about this before, and if every contractor decided to buy all of their shingles from China, it's a supply and demand thing.
Right.
So you got to think about it. If just you is buying it, and having it delivered over here in shipping containers, you're going to get a great price. Now, if you add 10, 50 other contractors, 100 other contractors in the state of Florida that are going to be doing that, supply and demand. I mean, I truly think if the demand goes up, supply comes down, they're going to have to invest more in more manufacturing plants, pump out more of these shingles, and the price is going to end up going up. And that's my take on it. That's what I think would happen. They're going to end up going up to be about the same as what we're doing, because, you know, here in America, like we get a price from the manufacturer. We have to put a markup on it because we have warehouse drivers, delivery drivers, you know, inside staff, outside staff, branch managers. I mean, it takes a lot of people to move materials. So when you're paying all those people, you got to have a markup on it. But from a manufacturer standpoint, have you ever been on a plant tour to one of these shingle manufacturers? Not the one in China, but here in America?
Yeah.
It's a pretty big operation.
Yeah, but with 5-6 people working.
I mean, 5 or 6 people working right on that one shingle line.
Right,
but then you got all kinds of people that are running.
There's a logistic behind it. And that's the thing. I completely understand. And the job that a supplier does is incredible and is needed indeed. The question is about, and again, you as a supplier is also in crossfire, because I mean, you got to get your material for X. Of course, you got your markup, and you got to sell for a profit because you handle the whole logistics. My point is, and last year was crazy. I believe we had like 3-4 shingle roofing material, prices, like increases.
Yeah, there was a lot of increases
all this stuff
that came through.
Now, adding to that, I want to extend something that popped up in my mind when it comes to pricing, right? What I want to do, Mike, here another day is actually I want to do something that I have not seen any contractor doing. When you put on Google and say, Google, what should be the cost of roofing in Central Florida? I'll tell you how much should be roofing in Florida. I'll show you how, because I'll expose how much we buy it for, labor, and overhead on top of it. I want to do a video like that. And again, that is black and white. And the reason why I want to do it is because there are companies out there doing something shady. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Mike.
Well, hold on. You said you were going to tell him.
I'm going to tell. No. I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to tell. But to corroborate with what I was going to say, do you know of any suppliers that actually sells subpar quality materials or something like that? Is that possible to buy? Let's say, I'm not saying any brands or anything like that. I mean, is there something that within your knowledge out there, is it some sort of, let's say, I want to buy, I don't know, brick, right? I know some friends that are in the bricks, driveway bricks, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to do a big brick in one of my commercial properties. And they said, man, I mean, just buy the seconds. And I was like, what the heck is that? Well, I mean, these are good bricks, but they have some little defects or whatever. I was like, I don't care. The truck's going to be driving on it, so no problem. Now, is that possible in the roofing industry?
So there are some small, really, really small local distributors that will sell secondhand product. Sometimes this product will come with no label on it, no wrapping on it. But you know who it is because you can look at the actual shingle itself. Now, if you were to talk to a manufacturer rep, they're going to tell you every time that they do not sell that material to the secondhand stores. If they run a bad shingle line that has maybe the wrong color granules on it, or the adhesive didn't run like it was supposed to, they're not going to sell that product to even a secondhand store. I mean, that's just wasted product. It is what it is. And then you correct the issue and you move forward. But I think where a lot of these distributors are getting that secondhand product from is leftover jobs or something. Maybe they opened up bundles, but I say that, but I mean, they got pallets. So I don't know where it's coming from. I'd be lying. I mean, I'd be lying if I told you I knew where it was coming from. If you ask a manufacturer rep, they're going to tell you it's not coming from them.
And I tell you what, nothing wrong with that in a sense, as long as you're knowing what you're getting, right?
Absolutely.
Let's say, for instance, and there's something in the process of manufacturing the shingle that, let's say they're making
these plants
a gray color, right? Like a gray color. Now they're gonna do a brown. So there is some leftover granules and the mixtures and things that they gotta do. So probably there's a feel in between manufacturing that's gonna be like color's gonna be off. Probably nothing wrong with the material, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be like standard as it should.
Yeah, it's
right?
like when you go to an appliance store and they have scratch and dent on the appliance. There's nothing wrong with the inside of the appliance, but it's got a big scratch on the side of it, so you got a big discount on it.
Right.
That's essentially the same thing as a shingle.
Right. But my take with that, Mike, was to continue what I was saying before, is that, and that really caught my attention to this. I went to this house, right? This solar company installed this solar panel in the house, and they did a terrible job. And it was a 6 months old shingle roof that this homeowner, had done, and the solar company installed the solar panels, and it started leaking like crazy. And he hired us. Actually, the solar company, another solar company, hired us. They removed the entire panels because the company, when they called the previous company, they were no longer in business. Imagine that, right? And then this other solar company removed. They called us to fix the roof. So here's the thing: we asked the homeowner, "What brand is this?" He said, "Well, it's X brand, Y color." Okay, well, and then we went to buy the material. We went to install. It was not it. Colors were off. I mean, I'm talking about a 6 month old roof, right? And then I said, wait a minute, and said, well, do you have by any chance any bundles left over? And the owner was like, yeah, I do. So on the side of the house, there was like a couple bundles from actually wrap, everything new. And even that one was not the same. I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that the contractor left a couple of bundles technically of the same material that he installed on your house, and it's not the same thing. So here's the catch: you, homeowner, be careful when your contractor putting the material. Make sure, ask them to take pictures. Make sure that the material they are putting on your roof is exactly what they promised you it's being installed. It's very easy. Unlike painting job, unlike a driveway, a concrete job, a landscaping that you can actually physically walk, see, touch. A roof, you're gonna look from the street and it's gonna look fine. But it's very rarely we see a homeowner walking on the roof or can't tell if it's right or wrong. So for roofers to scam, it's really easy, and that's really unfortunate. But that just caught my attention. Another thing is related to price, right? Well, I guess as the old adage, you get what you pay, in a sense, right? I'm not saying that you should overpay. No one wants to overpay for anything. You just have to be fair and do what you promise. But another thing that I found, Mike, is even your competitor. You know who is your biggest competitor?
Do I know?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, you tell me.
Yeah, there's you have another competitor besides of the ones
China?
that you mentioned. No, it's not China. It's Facebook Marketplace. It's it is Craigslist. Because I tell you, if you research, you're gonna find tons and tons of roofing material that probably were stolen from a job site or something. And I have seen on the news people getting arrested. So, and again, is that really the type of contractor that you want to hire that's going out there and buying all this type of stuff? And again, I'm not here to judge anyone, but you have a lot as a homeowner to investigate and to find out who you actually bring into your house. I just want to bring that out there.
Yeah, that's definitely that's an issue. It happens a lot, and it's difficult. Like I was just talking about this. I don't know, probably just a couple hours ago. Homeowners buy a roof sometimes maybe once in their life. Like I've been here for 32 years. I've owned 2 homes. Never bought a roof yet. Still haven't done it. If the roof lasts 15, 20 years and you're moving from, house to house, you may never have to buy a roof. So when you do have to buy a roof, how do you know what questions to ask? Do homeowners understand that, like, this is not just we're going to put a new roof on. It's a construction zone. Like, it's a big construction job. Yeah, they can get it done pretty quick, but it's a big deal when you're buying a roof. So, when you had first asked me about this, doing the podcast, I think I told you, like, there's certain things I can say and certain things that I can't. And, once the roofing industry gets a little bit weird, once people find out that I'm on this thing and they see it in this industry, I will be scrutinized all over. They will be watching the entire thing. They're going to pick apart everything that I say. So you got to be, when you had asked me to do it, I said, I was worried about that. But then I thought, how is that doing any justice to the homeowner that I just explained? I mean, a guy a homeowner that has maybe never bought a roof before or is buying a roof for the first time, doesn't have any idea where to start. There are, like, you need to look at some things. This is a big decision. And, qualifying a contractor is not the easiest thing to do when there's a lot of people out there doing some sketchy things. Like you had mentioned, I mean, I know they're out there. I don't sell to them. They obviously don't want to buy from me if they're getting it from Facebook Marketplace. But there's certain things. That's why I wanted to be a part of this, is because I think you're doing a good thing here for the homeowner. Because at the end of the day in this industry, we think about manufacturers, we think about distributors, and we think about contractors. Who is thinking about the homeowner? I mean, if the contractor's thinking about, all these other things and running a business, I mean, at some point, the homeowner does have to be mentioned, and they need resources and able, to make a good decision whenever they're purchasing a roof.
Right. I saw the other day on the podcast of someone also very known in the industry, and this homeowner was really upset, and the homeowner actually called in and be like, well, I'm talking to my roofer and they refusing to give me where they bought the material from. I don't have a problem. If you're the homeowners, like, where are you buying the material from? I don't have a problem. Say, hey, I'm buying my material from this company right here. So I don't have any problem with that. Now, that being said, Mike, are you allowed to sell directly to a homeowner, and there is any reason why a homeowner would walk into Mid-Atlantic and be like, hey, I want to buy the material, can you deliver it to my house? I mean, I assume that's rare. Have you ever come across a situation like that?
It is rare. Homeowners can. I mean, there's no reason that they can't come into a distributor and buy roofing materials. They can go to Home Depot, buy roofing materials there. The only thing that gets a little bit sketchy is, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of a contractor putting a markup on materials, because at the end of the day, they don't touch them until they're installing them. Most every roofer is not going to put a markup on it. So if the roofer is afraid to tell you where they're getting it from, or even show you an invoice, I assume it's probably because they're getting material from somewhere that probably the homeowner wouldn't agree with where those materials were coming from. So, and we do have a lot of homeowners that come in and they want to ask us about, they have a repair, and the homeowner thinks, this is something easy that I could do myself. And we always recommend those guys, like, listen, getting up on your roof and making a repair, it might seem pretty simple. You watch a YouTube video, you can knock it out. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with repairs too. And so we always recommend, for sure, to call a competent contractor to do that. But if a homeowner comes in there and says, this is my shingle, this is what fell off my roof, can you match it? Can you tell me what shingle it is? It's very hard to do most of the time. But sometimes if it's a complete shingle, for sure, you can match the color and you can find out what manufacturer it is and help the homeowner that way. But again, I typically don't recommend that a homeowner buys from a distributor. a contractor has bought a lot of material. They kind of know what they're doing when it comes to ordering materials. They're going to order the right amount. They're going to order the right materials for the job. So I wouldn't recommend that a homeowner, again, as we just talked about, a homeowner might purchase a roof once in their life, maybe twice. I mean, if they're really unlucky, they're going to have to buy it 5 times. But again, a roofer that may have installed 5 roofs in that same week, I would recommend definitely having your contractor do it.
And Mike, for the fellows contractors, the good guys out there, what would you say makes Mid-Atlantic different?
Well, I think we kind of covered that a little bit earlier. Is that we're a smaller operation. I mean, we're looking for guys that want to grow with us. We opened up in 2015 in the Carolinas and then made our way down to Florida. We opened up here in Orlando, I believe, in 2023. So we've only been here in Orlando for going on, 2 or 3 years now. But with that, you really, and I truly believe it because I have been at QXO and I've been at ABC where I'm, one of the bigger fish. We take a lot of pride in moving these materials. You don't realize how much really goes into it until you kind of get to a smaller fish. And then your hands-on operation, even as a sales rep, I'm out there helping, making sure that we're getting everything in order. If I got an order going out tomorrow, I'm checking it to make sure, hey, the color's good, we're good. We got enough of this. Oh, we have this massive job going out next week. We got to transfer some shingles in from another branch. You're getting a bigger commitment to service for sure. And then the other thing too is, these big distributors, you would think that because they're delivering, they do such mass quantities, they do such volume, that it would be like the Walmart approach where, you go into Walmart, you're going to pay cheaper prices because they sell more of it. They sell more volume nationwide. Well, when it comes to these bigger distributors, even though they're pushing more material, they have to hire a lot more people to do that. And so a lot of the times our pricing is going to be more competitive because we have a smaller operation. So that's right now. Now, if we get some more contractors buying, and then, maybe the price will change a little bit, over the years. But right now it is the best time to buy from Mid-Atlantic for sure.
How you foresee the market moving forward, and to make my question clear, is we had so many price increases last year or so, and with the whole storms out there, there was material was scarce. Some brands that I used to sell, you could not touch them for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now, with it seems that the industry is at it's a slow peak, slow right now. Has it already built to the point that it's so comfortable as far as levels as you feel that the supply demand is there? Or not still there.
At least, from my perspective in distribution and from a manufacturer's perspective, it's a little bit wacky here in the state of Florida, and I think in Texas and other storm-prone states. I think Oklahoma has tornadoes, and so for a while there, it was kind of the perfect storm. You had COVID come. Supply chain issues were all over the place. Everyone knows about the supply chain issues that happened because even regular homeowners outside of this industry were feeling it walking into the grocery store. So that caused a big issue. And then all of a sudden we get hit with the hurricanes. Ian was a pretty big one in 2022. And then the last one, Milton, that had come through. So we've had some hurricanes that have caused damage. And when those damage happens, everyone's out there selling, everyone's out there, installing roofs. So the supply was already low when that hurricane hit because of the COVID supply chain issues. So all the manufacturers said, well, we have to put everyone on allocation. Are you familiar with allocation? People that are watching probably aren't, so I'll just be quick about it. let's say, a manufacturer has 50 trucks that they're going to send to the Orlando market. They have to assign those trucks to different distributors. ABC being the largest one is going to have more allocation than a smaller guy like Mid-Atlantic. Because we're a smaller operation, we don't push as much material as an ABC or a QXO. So they have to assign those 50 trucks in between all distributors, and we're all fighting for it. We all want more because we can sell it and we can get rid of it quick and we can turn it over. So we were on allocation for a very long time. At least it felt like a very long time. And we've just gotten to the point where all of the manufacturers has essentially caught up. There's no more allocation. Like I just ordered, I had a 1,000 square job go out. It's going out the end of this week. And, we don't have that material just sitting on the ground in our yard. That's a lot of bundles. So, we call up the manufacturer rep and say, how quickly can we get the material? And he's like, submit the POs, man. We'll get them to you next week. Like, so there's stock. We're caught up. I think it's very difficult for people in the state of Florida, especially new reps like me that have only been in the industry for 3 years. I've never known anything but supply chain issues and COVID and hurricanes and allocation. So to me, I'm like, the fact that we have all this material sitting here and we're not moving it constantly is very, very strange. And I think a lot of people are feeling that too. But then there's also people that have been in this industry for 30 years that have seen the ups and downs, that the peaks and valleys that happens. It's very cyclical. But again, that's roofing in general. I mean, that's what it is. It's a very cyclical business, and you got to be able to ride those. You got to ride the peaks and valleys and stay consistent.
With the perspective of your background in selling roofs and now in distribution, Mike, what you want to say to the homeowner in the process of choosing a company, like a word of advice or something that you really want to help them? Because the whole idea that we're talking about these things is for the person. Again, and I emphasize this because unlike a painting job, again, like a driveway, that I've done all of these things, and it's different because the homeowner, that cut's not so straight. I want to touch up here, I want to touch up there. Man, I tell you, when we're roofing, we see the roof next door is like going all over. It's like, gosh, oh my goodness. Yeah. And what would you like to say in the process, using all your experience, like you were telling your grandma?
Well, it even gets weird for me too. Like when I think about it, if I was gonna buy a roof today, like what am I looking for in my contractor? We talked about this the other day, having a quick list, right? So you could go on ChatGPT, you can go on the internet and say, what kind of questions should I ask my contractor to make sure that they're qualified? You could ask, and the reason why I say you could ask the very most basic questions you could think of. Like a homeowner's not going to know the difference between synthetic underlayment and peel and stick underlayment. I didn't know that when I was selling roofs. So if they had some sort of list on, these are the questions I should ask my rep when he comes out here to sell me a roof, is, he's got a program that's going to run it, and it's going to give an estimate based on the squares of the house and, what is going to be their bid. To me, you want to look for a contractor that knows a thing or two about the materials that are being installed on the roof. Because 9 times out of 10, the contractor's not the one that's coming out there to sell you the roof. It's a sales rep like me. And I didn't know a thing about it. So there's very simple questions. We could come up with a list. You could say, okay, what kind of shingles do you use? Well, why do you use that? That was the very basic, most common question that I ever got. And they would ask me, well, why don't you use these other brands? Tell me a little bit more about the other brands. I didn't have an answer. Okay, what do you put underlayment? What kind of underlayment? Didn't have an answer. Your rep and your contractor, if your sales rep is that knowledgeable, that means they were trained correctly by their contractor. So that right there is a simple way to weed out a contractor that may not be a good fit for you. The other thing is ask how many roofs they've installed. And that could be a weird thing too. We talked about that. So have them send you an address, couple addresses of roofs that they've installed in the area. You can read Google reviews. If someone's going to give you an address to a house that they installed, more times than not, it's going to be a customer that was satisfied and happy with the way they did it. So you can inspect those roofs. You can see how it looks. You can even talk to the homeowner. I mean, talk about knocking doors. You can knock on that homeowner's door and ask them, hey, I know you bought this roof from this guy. How was the experience? What should I look out for? It's hard to say, but I think those are some of the things that I would look for in a contract.
Those are great advices, Mike. And this whole thing about internet, it gets nasty as we move forward, because now, I mean, it's just like the older Dodge, a new one, like fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
And then you can buy reviews. You can do so many things that can, a person just looking at it, it's gonna be like perfect. But I think one thing, and I agree with you, is that ask your contractor, have you done any roof within, I don't know, like 30 minutes from a house? And I wanted the address, the phone number, contact of the person. And you know what? If you're really skeptical, I would drive there. Just like we mentioned, knock on the door and said, hey, I'm so-and-so, this contract. I mean, how was your experience? Right?
That would be
seriously
my biggest recommendation. I mean, you got to do some due diligence when you're spending that kind of money and investing in your property. It's like if you're replacing windows on your house and you want, energy efficient windows, like you're probably going to do a little bit of research on what kind of windows there are now. When's the last time you bought windows? Have you ever bought windows?
Yeah.
I haven't. And so if I was going to upgrade my windows, I'm going to do a little bit of research and find out what kind of windows are good. I mean, if I'm going to make that kind of investment, they're expensive, just like a roof. You got to do your due diligence. And one thing that you had said that I wanted to add to it, you might find this kind of funny. You got to be careful, very, very careful, because you were talking about Google reviews. I'm a sales rep. I have to hunt down contractors that install roofs because they buy materials and I sell materials. So when a homeowner is looking for a contractor, they may go into Google and they may say, roofers near me. This is going to sound wacky. I don't think I've ever said this to you before. I don't think we've ever talked about it. You might know about this, but there are Google reviewed companies that are basically shadow companies. So they're owned, like if you were to call that number on that Google reviewed company in, let's say, Orlando, the contractor might not be in Orlando. The contractor might actually be in Jacksonville, but that's their shadow location. And when you call that number, it funnels up to a guy somewhere else. And you might not be dealing with a local contractor that you thought. You might have a guy come down from a different city, and there's weird stuff that happens like that.
Well, I mean,
and by the way, the reason why I know that is because I track down those Google reviews. I look for those roofers. And when I call and then all of a sudden I'm talking to somebody in South Carolina.
Yeah. Well,
I thought you were Orlando based. And like, oh, well.
Well, I mean, if the company is within the state, so to speak, I think that, depending on the company, they can have some satellite offices and things like that. But now if it's a complete different state, now we get in another realm of things. And there's another thing that you just touched that it's important also to say. The roofing industry seems to be going through a very interesting phase. Is like capital firms buying a lot of roofers.
Yeah.
So now that's another thing too. You, the homeowner, you think that you're doing business with a mom and pop local business. Guess what? There is a new trend in the industry. Big capital firms buying all these roofing companies. They keep their name, they keep the mom and pop feel, but they're not. They're like a huge corporation, and to them, you're just a number. And again, that's another thing for you to know too. And I want to add to that. So probably when you interview your roofer, ask the salesperson, can I meet the property owner? Is he, the company owner, is he reachable? if something happens, can I go visit and meet him in person? Because now you probably can peel that and be like, well, I mean, and again, if it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter to you. But to the person who really wants to do business with like somewhat a local company or a state company, something like that. So ask those little questions too.
Yeah, and the one thing I just want to be clear too is that satellite locations are great. I mean, if you have a company that started in Jacksonville or Tampa or even Orlando and then spread and had the same company and had different branches, that's a great thing. I mean, that's growing. That's extending your reach. Some like the ones that I'm finding are like some random name that says roofing in it and has like maybe 12 to 15 reviews. And then you call it and it's a completely different, like they answer the phone and say it's a completely different roofer. And you're like, well, it says online here that this is your Orlando whatever roofer. But when I call it, it's a completely different company. And, you talk about that it could be an acquisition thing. It could be somebody said, I want to generate more leads, so I'm going to make all these companies. And if people are looking if I have 10 companies in Orlando and all of them funnel to the same number, then I may triple my leads. I may 10 times my leads. So that there's just weird stuff that goes on out there, and I don't truly understand it. But you start catching on to some of the little tricks that they start playing.
Are there signs, Mike? Now with all the distribution you have been a part of, have you ever seen like this roofing companies go out of business? Is that a trend? Is that something that how it happens? Some signs that you get prematurely that's like something's off here.
Yeah, trying to be very careful about what I say.
Well, when I say that is because here's another thing too that you, the homeowner, should be careful. And just thought about that. Let's say you hire a contractor, a roofing contractor to do a roof, right? And then let's say, well, the guy collected the money and out they go. If the contractor does not pay you, the supplier can probably put a lien on your house. And I have seen that happening a lot. And I have seen people getting really hurt because of that. And all of a sudden, but I paid my contractor, and guess what? Now there's the news on the front of the house, and the supplier had to put a lien on the house and things like that, right? So have you ever seen things like this? I mean, with the whole, not specific with Mid-Atlantic, but with the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. There will be red flags, and I think any competent homeowner will see the red flags just like we do in distribution, just like manufacturer reps see it, and other contractors as well. I mean, who's gonna make it and who's not. Now, as far as like NTOs, notice to owners, putting an NTO on a house that basically says like if the contractor doesn't pay us in a certain amount of days, we're gonna lien the house. Not only, like, it's getting so wacky out here in this market that we have started doing it. This is where it gets wacky. It's like, trying to see how you're going to have to cut this, because as I'm talking, I'm like,
It's okay, man.
Yeah, I can't say that. I can't even say it. I want to, but I can't say it. I can't do it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Hopefully they'll cut that out.
But anyway, these are the things that we see it happens. But again, the idea is to literally help the homeowner. These are the little tips that can make the difference. Again, when you're buying a car, right? You take it for, let's say it's a Honda, it's a Toyota. There's a brand. They're notorious for being good cars, whatever. But you don't know who drove it, if they maintain it well, if they change the oil. Well, with the roof, there's so many things that can go wrong and can look just as nice, but it could go wrong. So it's a huge list. And again, the idea is take the time. When it comes to roofing, take the time and do your due diligence.
The other thing, too, I want to talk about, we haven't really talked about this before, but we have started kind of getting to the point where we're trying to help our contractors be protected and this is going to sound wacky because this podcast is specifically to help homeowners. But what we're noticing is that during tough times, homeowners might not, you got to help your contractor protect themselves from sketchy homeowners. So when we talk about the entire industry, you're going to have scammy distribution reps. You're going to have scammy, none of the manufacturer reps are scammy. I love all you guys. Everything's good there. But I'm saying you're going to have, scammy distribution reps. You'll have scammy contractors, but you also have scammy homeowners that we have started to try to help train our contractors that, like we're discussing here, we're focusing on specifically helping the homeowner. But at some point, we also need to talk about how do we protect our contractors from scammy homeowners, because they are out there and you got to be very careful, because that right there, let's say you're operating a business and you have overhead, you have other jobs coming up, you have bills to pay. You can't pay your distributor for those materials sometimes until you get that check from that homeowner. And sometimes that homeowner didn't have the check to begin with. And so it gets very, very wacky, and you have to have your contractors back, and you have to understand from their perspective too. And then you also have to help, anybody that's been in the industry for a little while knows whether a homeowner is legit or not. But sometimes they're fresh starting out, and you got to tell them, man, you might want to walk away from this deal.
It makes sense, Mike. Thank you for bringing that up. And they are out there too. And this is why at some point in our podcast I mentioned there's bad people in every place, right?
Everywhere.
So we've seen those. Awesome, man. Anything else you want to add?
I really don't think so, man. I think how long has it been? How many minutes?
It's been an hour and 16 minutes.
Hour and 16. The longest one was an hour and 13, right?
I think so.
I beat it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that, because the thing is, Mark, you're going to be watching this thing and get this. Before I came over here, man, they were giving me a hard time. They're trying to make me feel nervous and make sure I was prepared. But that's another thing in this industry is we all just rag on each other. I mean, distribution reps rag on each other. Like when we work, we're all ragging on each other, man. But that's just, I think that's a part of, us loving on each other and knowing that we're all in this together. And so we give each other a hard time. But, Mark and Kat specifically, they were giving me a hard time. Mark said, well, this person went, a minute or, an hour and 13 minutes. He's like, how long do you think you can go? I'm like, if I wanted to stretch it for 2 hours, man, I'd make us sit in here for 2 hours. But I think we covered pretty much everything that we could. And the other thing too, you remember last time you went over to the branch, you saw the big TV that's right there behind our inside sales reps. They were giving me crap. They said, we're gonna put it on replay on that TV, and every single customer that comes in here is gonna watch you talking, and we're just gonna leave it there.
Oh my God!
So I know you guys are watching this. Just don't give me too hard of a time, guys. I mean, I tried my best. I'm not the most knowledgeable in the world, but I had fun. I think it was great.
Awesome, man. Well, Mike, thank you so much, man. Shout out to the team, Mid-Atlantic. And again, all you guys are great. Thank you so much for all the support every time I get there. The professionalism, the time. I mean, it means a lot. So thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, and I hope I'm invited for round 2. Maybe we can get into some even crazier stuff.
There you go.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. See you next time.